Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today, I want to talk about red flags. No one ever told me about red flags. If you've been watching me, you probably have heard, I probably have spoke about my mother passing away when I was 11. And after that, it's mostly been a roller coaster ride. I got shifted around, me and my brother. The saddest thing about my mom dying was people came into the house, family members. They took what they wanted. When I got home from school, me and my brother, we were looking around. Half the house was gone. All Mom's photo albums. It was like the reality was she died and people took. Now my oldest sister, she did get my mother's pearls, but she did pass them down to me. And I passed them down to my daughter. But there was no consideration for us, really. I guess because people didn't know how to act. The red flag in this situation is people around you sometimes are there for what they can take. With my mother passing, they had a family meeting at the house, and there was a lot of yelling and screaming. People wanted it to have the funeral the way they wanted it, when out of respect, they should have considered, well, what my father wanted, and they could be with their hearts and the love that they had for my mother, and respectfully asked, regardless of how they felt about my dad. I was just a kid. I couldn't have a say-so. You know, I talked to my girlfriend one day and I said, pretty much after Mom died, I had no stability. And if I had some stability, I would have went off to college. My grades were good enough. But I was never advised by any of my siblings that took care of me. And having to live with 3 separate sisters and 3 separate towns, I just did what I had to do, whatever they asked me to do. My oldest sister was really demanding. And in my heart, I know now that I was her slave. She says she loves me, but the actions aren't really there. And I can't really say I blame her, because She didn't know how to love too much. My other sister I stayed with, she didn't know how to love either. She was just the opposite with me. I could do what I want when I wanted. And those two sisters are still alive, and I don't really talk to them. And I reminded my oldest sister that the games they used to play with me when I would get home from school, regardless of what sister I was living with, they would keep saying bad things about the other sister until I said the one thing that they wanted to hear. And it probably wasn't even that bad, but the conversation ended. And then they would call each other and they wouldn't say all the things that they were saying. They just focused on the one thing that I said. And my sister that passed away, well, Tanya passed away, but that was many, many years ago, and she lived with my grandparents. So although by blood she was my sister, I really didn't get to live with her. My sister in Salt Lake, she went into my bedroom and she saw my pay stubs and she wanted more money. And I told her, I'm not giving you any more. You already get all my Social Security and I don't ask for any of it. And she said, where can you live for $400 a month? I said, I do my laundry out away. I said, I only shower and sleep here. I eat at the restaurant every day. So no, I'm not giving you any more money. And that pushed me to go into the service. The service, I would never say I regretted any of it. I wouldn't even tell you today that I regret living with my sisters. But I can tell you it was hard. It was hard being the youngest. It was hard having them pick at me, however they felt like. Especially when I was living under their roof. So, I love my family. I've always loved all of them. And I would do anything for any of them that I could. Sometimes it's all in vain. But what I take away is the truth is that I did everything that they ever asked me to do. Except for my one sister when she wanted more money. I took care of myself. I didn't make any demands on them, any of them. I barely asked for anything. This is not oh, feel sorry for this girl, this lady talking on the YouTube. It's about a reality of seeing people for who they really are. My one sister, when my dad died, I gave her a car because he left it to me. And I was living in Delaware and he died in California. And I drove it to a local car dealership and I explained the situation, that I didn't want to drive that car cross country. He said, cash $3,500. I said, I'll think about it. I was driving down Broadway, and I said, I'm going to give the car to Tina because she's a single mom. And I just gave it to her. I didn't ask her for anything in return. Well, when I relocated back to California, I asked her if I could use her car to go to the VA. And she gave me that side eye like I was a problem. She didn't remember how I freely gave to her. If she did remember, it didn't really matter. And why do people do these things that they do? They chose a path, maybe that they really didn't want to choose. And their youngest sister chose a different path than the path that they chose. And even though my life, I'm building it up, my life is still better than theirs. Not because any particular reason. My health is extraordinary, really. I mean, I'm not superwoman by any means. But I don't look 61. And I don't really act 61. I'm not immature. But I want to live my life lighthearted. I want to live my life with love. I want to live my life sharing with all of you here on YouTube. I want to let you know that if you're going through a bad part in your life, if you're in a dark spot in your life, you just start praying. You just start talking to God. Like He's right in front of you. God has been with me my whole life. I turned my back on Him and wanted to live my life the way I wanted to live it. I can honestly tell you, I almost killed a man because I was in such a dark place that He took me to. And you can see I'm crazy. You can see I'm delirious. But I'm here to tell you, I looked in my peripheral vision. On the left, there was something on my shoulder. And when I turned my head to see it, it disappeared. And it was like the cartoons where that puff sound was in my brain, and it disappeared. And it was the man's voice. And he said, go in the kitchen and get the 2 biggest knives and cut them up. You'll feel so much better. And I stood there frozen. And my now ex-husband was sitting on the sofa watching TV, drinking his beer. He never even asked me, Marcia, are you okay? What are you doing? Why are you standing there froze? He just kept drinking his beer, watching TV. And then on my right shoulder, something appeared. And the same thing, when I looked over, the sound in my mind was poof. And I heard a woman's voice. And I can't tell you if it was my mom's or not. I just know it's a woman's voice. She said, "Go for a walk." That week I walked 60 miles every day. Every day, instead of letting him irritate me, I went for walks. And God divinely walked me out of his life. And I've seen so many signs, so many red flags about him. But I kept hoping and praying that he would make a change, that he would open his heart up, but he had been damaged way before he got to me, and it's been covered up for 50 years or so, or maybe 45 or 48 years. Have been covered up. So you see, secrets, bad secrets, we can't let them remain secrets. We have to talk about it to heal. We have to bring light to the dark. I'm so blessed to have had a mom that she was really tired and old, even though she was only 44 when she died. But she had 11 kids. So she was old and tired. But I'm grateful to have had her in my life for the 11 years of mine. I can't tell you if my mom ever betrayed me. I don't think so. And her mother was an angel. She was an earth angel. We called her Grandma with the little fingers because she had been crippled. Her small little hands. It would take her a long time to write a letter. She wrote letters of scriptures out of the Bible. And she sent them far, far away. And her church was very holy. I loved going to that church. People called her a holy roller. They said that she was crazy. I never saw her that way. She was the most beautiful grandma in the whole world. I looked into her eyes, and all I could see is beauty. Even though her body was wrinkled and she shrunk, all I could see is beauty in her eyes. Red flags, if you know what they are, then you need to teach others about it so they can look and see for themselves. Sometimes you tell people about red flags and they have to just actually see it for themselves. And sometimes it takes years before they see it. I love my family. All of my family. All of my family. but their lives are too busy for me, and I've accepted that. I just think of myself as my grandma. She was home alone a lot. A lot of the family stayed in this area. Very rarely did they visit. And I can't tell you if I lived here, would I be visiting her all the time? Because it didn't happen. It didn't happen. I lived away for 40 years before I came back. But my heart was always with her in a special way. And nobody could ever take that away from me. She was my rock. She taught me about God. She taught me about love. But she never talked to me about red flags. You see, she had to accept that her children or her grandchildren were all a certain way, and all she could do was pray for them. And some of them carry it with them. Some of them don't. Some of them carry it with them, but they use it against other people. They forget how to be humble. They forget how to be giving. They forget the meaning of love. Whenever I had a situation, well, my dad died in 1995, I think, or maybe earlier. But I didn't have anyone to talk to. Whenever I call my family, well, Terry would give me some good advice. Becky would tell me that he's using me. But I just say the words. What would Grandma want me to do? What would Mom and Dad want me to do? That's years before. What would Jesus do? I might be wrong, but in my mind. So, the reason why I'm here is to reach out to people, to let them know, no matter how dark it is, you have a light inside of you, and that light connects to the divine. You ask God to shine on you. You ask God for repentance. You ask God to fill your heart with love. And you ask God to show you the way. He's the only one that really matters. If people loved you, they would be right there. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes they're far away. Sometimes they've already passed. But love transcends. Believe that love transcends. Thank you for listening. I hope I touched your heart. I hope I helped someone out there. Just know that you're never alone. Know that you have all the tools within you. God sees that you have all the tools when you're born. It's whether you are ready to open yourself up to the Lord. It's all up to you. Love yourself more, respect yourself more, treat yourself good. And when you are doing all those things, then you know what you will not accept. I'm sending you love and prayers, the brightest light, peace and harmony, sending it out to you. God bless.